All right, welcome back to the KBE Pod Week 4 Takeaways from the 2023 season. All right, we had some really good quarterback play. We also had some pretty poor quarterback play. I want to focus on specifically efficiency. I know a stat came up with a lot of quarterbacks. I think there were 3 quarterbacks that were at least 10 of 10 starting the ball. There might be more. I could be mistaken. And I know Brock Purdy went 20 for 21 this week. So I wanted to highlight the quarterbacks that were able to at least hit 75% passing, which so far 6 quarterbacks have a completion percentage above 70% for the season. And 10 quarterbacks were able to hit above 75%. So of the quarterbacks that have the season average above 70%, you see some names that you are not necessarily shocked with. Josh Allen, Brock Purdy, Dak Prescott, shocking, actually a little bit, Lamar Jackson, Tua Tagovailoa, and the most shocking of here is Josh Dobbs, who's looking kind of like a super awesome quarterback, to be quite honest. So those are the 6 quarterbacks that have above 70% passing for the season. This week, we had 10 that were above 75, which is obviously a higher. So the quarterbacks are Josh Allen, who had 84%, had a perfect 158.3 QBR, led to a win. Fields had 80%, 132.7, and yet it still led to a loss in disappointing fashion. Lamar Jackson had 78%. He only threw like 15 passes or something like that. 19 or 15. I think it's 19 passes. He had a 142.5 QBR, led to the win. Baker Mayfield, 78%. 116.9 is his QBR when he also won. Russell Wilson, 75% passing, 133.5 QBR to the W. Brock Purdy, again, didn't really have to do much. Still threw 21 times. Had a 95% completion rate, led to a 134.6 QBR. Led to that W. Then you have Trevor Lawrence, 76%. He had a 105.8 QBR in that win. Dak Prescott had 82% passing, 108.5 QBR in his win as well. And there are 2 quarterbacks that hit above 75%. Both of them lost and also got less than 100 QBR. One of them significantly less than 100 QBR. Bryce Young had 78%, had a 93.2, just missed that in that loss. But even though he completed 79% of his passes, he still had Danny Dimes, had clumsy Kirk Cousins, had a 67 QBR in his loss. So completion percentage doesn't tell the whole story, but it does say how accurate the quarterback is, at least at getting it on target, and the receivers for catching it. That's great. It's good quarterback play this week. There were some really high-scoring players this week. Josh Allen, definitely among them. Same with Fields. Some of these quarterbacks on this list here with the high QBR, definitely on it, doing really good things. I'm still shocked about Josh Dobbs. I know that they lost to Brock Purdy and the Niners, but they definitely showed some spunk. I'm definitely rooting for the Cardinals. And honestly, probably one of my favorite throwbacks with that white helmet with the Cardinal. I'm a little partial, I guess. My high school with the Cardinals, and they used the same logo. maybe that takes me back to my old watching the football games, because obviously I didn't play for Mentor, but that's all right. That's okay. Moving on. So I've been saying it all year and predicted that this last year, it almost came true, but the Lions are making the move in the North. They're the clear top team. Feels weird saying it. They can go far this year for sure. Buffalo is not dead yet. I don't know who's been thinking that. I know that they had a really rough opening against the Jets. Turns out the Jets just have a really good defense. But yeah, Buffalo's not dead. Dolphins, they gave the Dolphins a taste of their own medicine, somehow kept all of their receivers under 60 yards, and still won by 28. So it's going to be a fun divisional race to watch between those two teams. The Patriots and the Jets probably less so, but those two teams going to be fun. The Vikes, they look lost outside of Justin Jefferson, who definitely saved them this week. Not really sure what the issue, because they're a shell of themselves from last year. 1-3 is not the start they wanted, but they're heading in the right direction. Obviously 0-3 last week, but they by golly, they needed a win of some sort to even have a shot at the wild card. So it's one step in the right direction, but they need to fix whatever it is on offense. By the way, Bryce looked really good in this game. Obviously, the almost 80% completion rate, just under 100 QBR. Carolina isn't very good right now, but they're definitely trying. Chicago's collapse was epic. A terrible game that had an exciting end, at least. Either way, both teams are hoping their scouts have better luck than they are, because both of these teams are going to have a high draft pick this year. The AFC North fell flat out, had a bad week. Steelers got crushed, so did the Bungles. Deshaun Watson not playing kind of ruined the showdown of the top two AFC North teams, but Browns just simply didn't come to play in that one, plain and simple. The Buccaneers, they have an inside line and stranglehold on the NFC South, especially with that win over the Saints. So they definitely have a legit shot to making it in the playoffs, not something that I would have seen coming. I think it'd be exciting to see the Bucs and the Lions play in the playoffs, just because of the fact that they're two teams that I'd say historically, but the Buccaneers have been a pretty solid team for a while. But this year, the Buccaneers are not supposed to be a team that's making it to the playoffs, and the Lions are just now coming into the shell of the team they want to be. So that would be a really, really fun game. A team that wants to make a stamp with the Lions to say they deserve to be in the playoffs, and the Buccaneers kind of doing the same, saying we're more than just Tom Brady. I think that Buccaneers at the very least should have a good season, and I'm rooting for Baker. I am on Baker's in Baker's fan club. Definitely. Being out here in Oklahoma, everybody's got that question about the Browns and, oh, you're a Browns fan, huh? What do you think about Baker? Well, I still like him. Funny that all of them, a lot of people out here, since especially Oklahoma, they don't really have a team. The closest team is Dallas. So everybody just kind of follows whatever college player. So you have college players who are like CeeDee Lamb going to the Cowboys, makes it easier to root for the Cowboys. You get Baker Mayfield, so you got a lot of people who are rooting for the Bucs this year. It's just kind of how it is. Moving on. So Washington showed some serious toughness against the Eagles. I say that the Eagles need to watch out, because if they trip up at all this season, Washington's right on their heels. Howell bounced back from his 4-interception game. I think he threw a couple picks, but he definitely came back and proved that he deserves to be the quarterback out there. One of the issues that the Commanders are having right now is he has been sacked 18, 19 times already, which is not sustainable at all. They've already got a full season. If he doesn't get sacked any more times this year, he's averaging at least one sack a game. So that needs to change for sure, because we're only a quarter of the way through, and he's definitely going to get hit some more. So Christian McCaffrey had a historic day, 4 touchdowns against the Cards. Surprisingly, the Cardinals have put up a really hot start to the season. I know the record's at 2-2, I think, and they're not really the pushovers a lot of people expected them to be, especially with Kyler Murray out. Them getting rid of some players on defense. Kyler Murray not been there. D-Hop's not there either. They don't have David Johnson anymore. I mean, what is this team even without David Johnson? And speaking of Kyler, he's set to return at some point. I think Cliff Kingsbury said that he's not on track to start week 5 or come back week 5. So when he does come back, which at some point you would hope he does, will he sit behind Dobbs as Dobbs continues to light it up, or will Kyle Irvin just take over the starting job when he's back? I think Dobbs has earned the right to be out there, especially considering they weren't supposed to beat the Cowboys. That was a big win for them. I can't remember their other win, but I'm sure you'll be out there correcting me. But I'm kind of wondering what's going to happen there. Will Kyler just become trade bait? Or even Josh Dobbs? They put Kyler back in thinking, oh, well, we'll lose and we'll get a good draft pick. Trade Dobbs away. His value just went up. Teams like the Falcons could probably take him on. We'll see. Even in the Cardinals' case, even with the expected loss to the Niners, the Cardinals have a real shot. Wow, goodness. A real shot at missing out on the Caleb Williams sweepstakes if this keeps up. So they may trade out in the draft from where they land. I'd say in the probably low teens. Or just taking a skill position player. There's a lot of wide receivers that could get taken in that 12 to end of the first round. There's probably about 4 or 5 wide receivers that could go there, and they could really use some extra help. I had to begin the season, I had the Cards pegged as a team to take one of the top 4 or 5 quarterbacks, and now I'm not really sure. Kind of like the 49ers with the quarterback controversy. I mean, they have a quarterback in, say, Trey Lance, who they drafted high and was supposed to do well, but is struggling, but they turn to some undrafted team person they didn't draft in Dobbs' case, and traded for, or just a Mr. Irrelevant, and somehow is out there doing well. So who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? Do they follow the Niners thing and just kind of make Dobbs the starter and then trade away Kyler Murray? A lot of teams could use him. Bears could try to take him on. I think he's kind of a clone of Justin Fields, and honestly, probably worse quarterback. Maybe that wouldn't be the best case, but there are some teams out there that could really use a quarterback, even a trial run at Kyler Murray. We'll see. All right, so the Jets-Chiefs game. Oh, boy. So there's a lot of missed calls, but, again, officiating is everything in close games. You hate to see it come down to a whistle and a flag. But there are a lot of missed calls that severely hampered the Jets from completing their comeback in that close game. They definitely had no business being in. Zach Wilson had the game of his career as he outdueled Mahomes. He was better in every statistical category. A feat I don't think anyone saw coming. I know that's probably been repeated, and people have seen that by now. But still, that's awesome. The 4th and something to 20-something first down, I think it was 22, that Mahomes had, shouldn't have happened. There was because of a penalty, and the flag on the interception was thrown after the Jets got that interception. Just some really ill-timed bad calls from the Jets' perspective. But it's part of the game. Got to play through it. Bottom line, the NFL got what it wanted, and a ton of screen time from that one country or / pop singer, whoever that is, what's her face, and a ton of time talking about the Chiefs. So it would have been kind of sad if the lowly Jets and the Cougar catcher himself, Zach Wilson, beating the NFL poster boy Mahomes. That would have been silly. And in case you follow that sort of thing, their Twitter page had 3 separate pictures of what's-her-face up there as their banner or wallpaper or whatever that is. Just crazy. Like, come on, let's focus on football here. Let's keep all these celebs out of it. I mean, honestly, I don't know if I've seen this big of a deal being made by someone who's being dated, or I don't understand. I don't understand the hype, but hey, what's her face is, I guess, popular. People like her, but whatever. So just your daily dose of conspiracy theories. The NFL wanted the Jets to lose. Anyway, so some things I'm looking forward to next week. The Chiefs and Vikings game. It should be good. The Chiefs are trying to stay on track, and the Vikings are trying to right the ship. And the Sunday Night Football game. The Cowboys-Niners. That's it. All the other games either look like duds or lopsided outcomes. Sloppy teams playing one another. Like, it's the only other possible game that might be okay is the Ravens and Steelers. I hope it's a slugfest, because otherwise it's going to be a dull day for football. All right, so let's go over the games for this week. The Cleveland Cleavies up against the 08 Lions. Cleavies came out on top, 143.3 to 94.38. That's it. The SMU Mustangs, 158.06, in a second straight tight final Monday Night Football score game win for SMU. This time they came out over the Minnesota Crushers at 152.5. Sorry, the TD Richardson. That one's that's a tough one to swallow, a tough loss. But even tougher, at the bottom of the standings here is Delmeasy coming out on top of Team Bumpo. 94.9 to 92.88. Wasn't Bumpo in a really close match last week too? What is it with SMU and Bumpo getting into these close shaves? Difference between the Mustangs and Bumpo is Mustangs have come out on top twice in a row. Bumpo, I think, lost both times. I think they lost by 6 to SMU. Actually, they played each other last week. I'm trying to remember this correctly. All right, moving on to the People's Champion. Came out on top of the 23 Lions, a 140.02 to 127. It was another close game, decided by about 13 points. That's 3 games within 13 points of each other. That's pretty big. And lastly, Masters of the Universe, the Guardians of the Galaxy, came out 102.58 over the OMG, they killed Kenny Whisker Biscuits, 67.98. I have to say that was pretty spectacular. That Whisker's team had nobody decided that they wanted to play fantasy football this week. Crazy. So top 4 players this week regarding position. Josh Allen, 51.5. He had 5 touchdowns. Christian McCaffrey had 4 touchdowns, and so far this season has yet to have less than 119 scrimmage yards. Pretty awesome run he's having. He had 48.7 points. Stephon Diggs had 42 points. He had 3 touchdowns, and Mark Andrews had 2 touchdowns. In his, 25-point-something points? I forgot to write that down. Good job for them. Some of the bench warriors, this one is not necessarily by position. I did include tight end this week, but that's because A.J. Brown had 44.5 points with 2 touchdowns. On a bench, Nico Collins had 42.8 with 2 touchdowns. Justin Fields had 35.9, 4 touchdowns in his loss. And Montgomery had 34.1 and 3 touchdowns for that Thursday night game against the Packers. Good job, them. Lions. Good job. Go Lions. Monty's really filling in that Jamal Williams role pretty well. I feel kind of bad for Jamal Williams, man. He's such a good locker room guy. But I think he's injured right now in New Orleans. Anyway, getting off track. All right, here's some disappointments, and I wanted to just pick about 4 or 5, but I couldn't. I had a couple more keep coming up. So Joe Burrow got 4.7. Is this even a disappointment anymore? It seems to be the expectation. He's going to get 5 points or so every week, which is pretty sad considering he entered this season as a top 3-ish, top 5 quarterback. And so what's going on there? I don't think all that's the calf. I don't think his calf is fully healed, but they got to fix something. Dalvin Cook had 2.8. Again, I'm going to probably say this is becoming less of a disappointment and more of the status quo. 2.8 points. He's had quite a bit of these sub 5-point games. Kittle, this is probably one of the biggest shocks, second biggest shock. This ranks number 2 as far as biggest shock. The next one is going to be even more shocking. But Kittle only had 1 target, and he got 1.9 points. 1 target. How do you... I don't know. He had a really big day last week. Definitely dropped the ball this week. I don't, not literally, because obviously he was only throwing to once and he caught it for 90 yards. But that's still, I mean, you gotta involve your tight end more. Not, I guess, not that they really needed it though, because They were just running the ball with Christian McCaffrey. The most shocking this week is Deebo Samuel. He got 6 yards on 3 carries and didn't get targeted even once. So Kittle got targeted once. Deebo got targeted 0 times. So between their 2 top pass catchers, not including Christian McCaffrey, their 2 top pass catchers, and I would say Kittle and Deebo Samuel are the top pass catchers in San Francisco. Obviously, Ayuk did way better this week than those 2, but to have your top 2 guys only get 1 target between the 2 of them, that's crazy. Olave only having 6 targets, so he was at least involved, but only having 1 catch for 4 yards. That's crazy. 1.4 points. Come on. This is part of Whisker's, the bane of Whisker. I think he also had Deebo, so that was... no, I don't think... maybe. No, he didn't have Deebo. Regardless. And also, Kenny Pickett getting 3.46 points. It's the Texans, so what are you doing? What are you doing? Man, the Steelers look terrible. Texans made the Texans look good. It's crazy. Aaron Jones got 2.4 points. So Detroit seems for real, but come on, man. I mean, you're better than 2.4 points. You coming back too early from injury? I don't know what it is. Another one, Addison. He 0 points. How do you only get 1 target? Like, he didn't catch the 1 target he got. A guy that has been able to explode for a bunch of points in the past. That Minnesota team is just... I almost included Hawkinson on this list. I think he got 4-point-something points. But that was just a down week for the Vikings. But, I mean, come on, man. Only 1 target? Come on. It's like watching Kirkland Cousins. Get it? The Kirkland brand Meeseeks. Anyway, so someone here has got to watch Rick and Morty. Anyway, tough crowd. All right, moving on. That is actually it. There's nothing to move on to. We're going to move on to week 5 here next week. Sorry I came out so late, guys. Been kind of busy. Been kind of dealing with work and stuff, life. But I'm trying to get this done. It's consistently probably going to be more likely to come out on Tuesdays versus Monday nights. Tuesdays probably more like this to happen. But thank you all for listening. We'll see y'all next week. Good luck in week 5, y'all.